Great. So we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you for being here. You're the second one in our Chamber Chat series that we kicked off a couple of months ago. So I'm really excited to have you in here, be able to talk about Wake Forest. It's a really exciting community. So thank you again for being here. I'll jump right in. Just go ahead and introduce yourself to our members, a little bit about your background, what brought you to Wake Forest, the Chamber, everything.
Absolutely. Thank you, Melissa. And thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really thrilled to be here this morning. My name's Ann Welton. I'm president of the Wake Forest Area Chamber of Commerce. I've been here for just about 5 years. A couple more months, it'll be 5 years. I had one of those varied careers that I didn't figure out what I really wanted to do for a long time, but I worked in advertising and PR agencies for quite a while, and then moved into the thrilling industry of telecom. I started with Sprint in Louisville, Kentucky, actually, and Sprint spun off a new business called Embark, I don't know, long time ago, and there was an opportunity to move to Wake Forest with that new company, which I applied for a job and wanted to do because I wanted to move back to the East Coast. So that brought my husband and I to Wake Forest. Both of our children were in college at the time, so they were fine with that. So we moved to Wake Forest in 2006, and I was working for Embark. Embark became CenturyLink, so I stuck with that for another 10 years. And then one thing led to another, and it just wasn't as much fun anymore. So probably for the first time in a long time, all the stars and planets lined up, and there was an opening here at the Chamber of Commerce. I had been very involved in the community as a resident. I was president of the Historic Preservation Commission for a number of years. I was a board member for Wake Forest Arts. I just have been out and about in the community and love the town of Wake Forest. So the opportunity to work on the business side with the chamber as well as helping on the community side, it just was like the perfect job for me. So I was really thrilled when I was offered the opportunity to do that. And so I've been here for about 5 years.
Great. So most of our members are pretty aware of chambers. Many of them are members of their local chamber through their personal business. But tell us what kind of businesses are represented in the Wake Forest Area Chamber.
We have everything from soup to nuts, and I think that's pretty common in most chambers. We attract lots of small business. Probably 50% of our membership would be considered small business. We currently have about 650 different businesses that are members of the chamber. Unfortunately, we've lost a few in the course of 2020 as businesses have had to go out of business, but we're still holding strong at about 650. We have everything from a mom and pop startup to an entrepreneur who's just trying to get off the ground to huge corporations that happen to be located here or have a big presence here. Certainly all the hospitals, the banks, all those institutions that believe very strongly in supporting the community where they live and work are all chamber members, and I think they are probably in most communities. I remember asking the market president of one of our banks when I came on board, why, what do you expect to get out of the chamber? And he said, we really don't expect anything out of the chamber. Occasionally we might get a referral, but basically we're here to support your work in the community. And I think that's the general philosophy of a lot of our businesses is they're here to support us because they know supporting us is supporting the work of other small businesses. So we got it all: restaurants, retailers, manufacturers, healthcare, banking, you name it. We got somebody who does it.
Awesome. So we specifically are very interested in economic development, business advocacy. So does your chamber specifically have any role in business advocacy? And if so, what does that kind of look like?
That's a great question, and that's one of the ways that I think chambers do vary their work across the state and the world. In Wake County, I'm not sure if you all are aware, but there are 12 chambers in our one county. Obviously, the Raleigh Chamber is the big 800-pound elephant, and then all the little towns surrounding Raleigh have their own chambers. So Wake Forest, Cary, Morrisville, Apex, Wendell, Zebulon, everybody's got a chamber. We all look to the Raleigh Chamber to do most of the advocacy on our behalf, as well as the North Carolina State Chamber. They have a much, much bigger budget, and they have actual departments of people that are skilled lobbyists and really have the ear of legislators in downtown Raleigh when the session, that sort of thing. What we do here in Wake Forest is our goal is to have really good relationships with our town officials, both paid staff and elected officials, as well as knowing who our representatives are at the state legislature, and knowing that we can pick up the phone and call them if an issue comes up or that we need their help with something. So maintaining those relationships is just critical to what we do. But we are less likely, and in fact, in 5 years, have never jumped up and down on a cause and said, we've got to go and lobby for this, in front of the legislature, that sort of thing. We don't have the manpower or frankly, the expertise to do that. But we do advocate within the town and within individual legislators on behalf of our members as is appropriate.
Awesome. So you kind of touched on this a little bit. And I know that you have a sitting commissioner on your staff at the chamber, but what kind of relationship does the chamber have with the town of Wake Forest? And are there any projects that you all have collaborated on, continue to collaborate on? Just what does that partnership kind of look like for you all?
Absolutely. And Liz Simpers is a town commissioner, and she is an employee of the chamber. I'm really proud of this. Several years ago, and I'm digressing for a minute, I'll come back to your question. We were working on our Get Out the Vote campaign for the fall election. And it was the middle of the summer, and I had put together a committee. As a chamber, we are nonpartisan. We don't back any particular candidates. As you can imagine, with 600 to 700 different businesses that are members, there's going to be 50% of the people on one side and 50% of the people on the other side, and we're not going to get into the political fray, but we believe very, very strongly in encouraging not just our members, but the entire community to get out and exercise their rights to vote, no matter who they're voting for. So Liz happened to be on that committee that summer, and as we were meeting, we were talking about who was running for town commissioner that fall. And we were looking up the requirements to run for town commissioner. And we were like, well, you have to fill out this paperwork by this date in July, and it costs $15. And she's like, well, I got $15. So we encouraged her at that committee meeting to run, and she did win. So that's really when I got to know her several years ago. And she was working for the YMCA at the time. And I was just thrilled we were able to work it out that she joined the chamber earlier this spring, because she's working, we'll get to this in a minute too, but in development for our foundation. And so she's bringing a lot of expertise to that. That has nothing to do with our commission work. We do a lot with the town. Our offices are a block away from each other. I have made it a real goal, and it's been really easy to do, to work really closely with the paid staff at the town, as well as the elected officials. They're just great people. I mean, we're so fortunate. Kip Paget, who's our town manager, and I have lunch together every month and just talk about what's going on. We've had several projects over the years that we worked on together. One of the ones I'm most proud of is called Launch Wake Forest, which started with a Rotary group down in Southeast Raleigh, and they brought it up here. So it was a Rotary, the town, and the chamber and Wake Tech, and it's an 8-week entrepreneurial training program for people looking to either grow their business or start a new business. So we've partnered closely with the town and the Rotary on that. We've also partnered from time to time on speaker series. We had one for several years called Wake Up Wake Forest, and we invited everybody from the state economic developers to just a wide variety of topics, zoning and planning and all kinds of things. We did a series of developer breakfasts with the town as well. So we do an awful lot together. It's just a great relationship. If we have an idea, and it's like, can we work together with you on this? And the answer is always yes. And we always find a way to work together. Every year we've done a candidates forum, again, not limited to just municipal candidates, but they'll provide space and expertise and allow us to get those off the ground. So it's a great relationship.
That's awesome. So this next question kind of ties in with the business advocacy part, not necessarily lobbying for businesses, but also working with the town. Does the chamber have any role in economic development, in bringing new businesses to the community? And if so, what does that look like? I imagine you work closely with the town in situations like that. So if you can just speak to that, give us a little more insight on that process for you all.
Sure. It's kind of interesting. My predecessor, who was here for about 7 years, was in fact the economic developer for the town of Wake Forest. Even though she worked for the chamber, the town of Wake Forest actually paid her salary, and she was the economic developer. And from all accounts, it worked out really well. When she accepted a position in Virginia, which was just something she wanted to do, she wanted to live in this town of Virginia, so she left on all good terms. But I think at that point, the town kind of took a step back and said, let's bring this in-house. Let's have our economic development department actually be within the town of Wake Forest instead of the Wake Forest Chamber. So they hire Jason Cannon, who's the town's economic developer, and they have a whole department, business and industry partnership. And they are 100% the economic development arm for the town now. That is not my area of expertise, and honestly, it's not. And so it's given us as the chamber an opportunity to focus on different things. My focus is on the businesses that are members, how we can support them, how we can help their business grow, and also supporting the community as a whole. What are we doing to make sure this is a great place to live and work and play? So we leave all of that recruitment, who's bringing in this development, or, Wegmans is coming, and all that stuff is completely up to that business and industry partnership.
Oh, okay. So the reason we ask that is because we know a lot of chambers work very closely on economic development with the town. So it's very interesting to hear that obviously not all chambers are the same. So some are a little more hands-on and some are not. So that's very interesting to hear. You touched on it with Liz. Liz is a staff member of the chamber, but works for the foundation. So I have found, and the more that we get involved with the chambers, they all have their very unique little niches. Yours specifically is that you have a foundation. Not all chambers have a foundation, so you are unique in that. Can you discuss a little bit about the decision for the Wake Forest area to create this chamber through the Chamber of Commerce, and what are some ways that our members might be able to get involved in the work of your foundation?
Thank you so much for that question, because we are so proud of our foundation. And actually it got started before I joined the chamber. Some board members had the foresight to say, or first I'll back up. Our chamber is a nonprofit, a 501c6 nonprofit. That's just an IRS designation. A foundation, our foundation, is a 501c3. And the reason that that's important is because it's the nonprofit that can accept and apply for grants, and it can also accept tax-deductible donations from individuals that the chamber cannot. So it was set up by some former board members, and then quite honestly, it just languished. We had 2 donations of $1,000 each, so it had a bank account of $2,000 and did absolutely nothing. But the paperwork was all done. The IRS designation had been made, and it was just kind of sitting there waiting for somebody to do something with it. Corey Hutcherson, who's on the staff here, and he's had a variety of roles since he's been with the chamber, but he came to me early on and said, I really want to get this off the ground. It's, it needs someone and some focus to get this off the ground. And I was like, great idea, because that's exactly what the foundation needed. So we struggled for about a year, like, what is the function? Why did we set this up? What is the reason for this foundation? So what, you can make a tax deductible donation, but what is it actually doing? So we had a fantastic strategy session some summer ago, I can't remember when, but years ago. And we really finally figured out what we wanted the goal of our foundation to be. And it's really pretty simple. The chamber is in existence to support businesses that already exist and to make sure this is a great community. The foundation's goal is to create the future leaders and the business people of tomorrow. So out of the signature programs that we're running out of the foundation now, almost all of them are directed at youth. We run a youth leadership program. We have a career readiness academy. We do financial literacy training, and we have a young entrepreneurs program. So all of those are designed to help high school students, the young entrepreneurs a little bit younger than that, but to help create the business leaders of tomorrow. We just know how important it is that students have an opportunity to discover careers, to learn the soft skills that often they're not learning, the communication needs, the ways to go to work. I mean, all these opportunities that often they're just not getting anymore. So our Career Readiness Academy has really trained them on across the board how to apply for and be a really great employee, no matter where it is or what you're doing. Our youth leadership has been going on for decades, and it's just a fantastic program creating leadership and self-awareness. We believe the financial literacy is so important. You're not going to be a good employee or a good employer if you're not really understanding the financial system and how important your own personal finances are. And my favorite is the young entrepreneurs. We've had an event every year where students 9 to 14 make their own products and sell them at our big spring event. We have a young entrepreneurs fair, and it's just amazing what these students, young kids, can make and sell and market. And so we're running all those programs out of the foundation. We were, well, I don't say we weren't just lucky. We were good. A couple of years ago, we applied for a huge grant through the United States Chamber of Commerce. It was a $95,000 grant that was going to be issued to 5 chambers across the country to create a career readiness laboratory. The idea meaning, how can you put together a program that will help train students to be ready for their career, no matter what that is? And out of the entire country, 5 chambers were chosen, and we were one of them. So I'm really, really proud of that. That gave us the opportunity to create the curriculum and really develop this program, which we did, which ended last spring. We are now working on funding through Wake County to continue that through this school year. It'll look a little different because a lot of it has to be virtual. A key element to that program were internships. So we were placing high school students in jobs across the region so they had an opportunity to practice what they were learning in the academy itself. So internships are just, we can't get them into places at the moment, but we're doing everything we can virtually as best as we can. So that continues. So we're continuing to grow the programming so we can reach out and touch many, many, many more students. So Liz joined the staff really as a development director. We know that it costs money to do all this. And after we had the the benefit of this huge grant from the United States Chamber, we realized how much we could do if we had more funding to do it. So her position is, she does a lot, but one of the key elements is going out and finding new grant funding and sources of funding and fundraising for the foundation so that we can continue that work. And especially with all of the unrest and the attention that this summer with all the Black Lives Matter protests and that sort of thing, we have really taken that seriously, and I really want to make sure that we're doing what we can as both a chamber and a foundation to level the playing field for minority students and business owners. So we are working hard within both the foundation and the chamber to do outreach into the minority community and make sure that we're doing everything we possibly can. So we're working hard to increase the diversity in our leadership classes. We have a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee that's working with our adult leadership class, which is out of the foundation, and we'll be providing minority mentorships to businesses. So it just continues to grow as we continue our outreach. So your members can help in a million different ways. Mentoring students, mentoring young business people who may have a particular interest in real estate and may not know how to get started. Help volunteering at anything, for instance, like our reality of money fairs, are those sorts of things. We always are looking for adults who want to get involved, roll up their sleeves, whether it's an hour or a day, and really get into the community and help both the students and our businesses that are, frankly, sometimes there are some gaps. They may need some mentorship in really specific areas, and often we can fill those gaps.
That's great. I know that when I met with you and Liz sometime back now, we were talking about how to get our members involved in the foundation. And we mentioned, maybe having some of our members become mentors. If the option was there to open their businesses up to internships, but just really teaching kids kind of like the life lessons of real estate. I don't think anybody knows what it is like to buy and sell a home until you have to go through the process. So, I think allowing our members to come in and mentor some kids on that process, what they do, in everyday life. Real estate is not something necessarily people, I think high schoolers think about when it comes to jobs. And so opening our membership up to that and our world and the business that they do every day, I think would be a great collaboration. So I'm glad we got some time to speak about that, because I think that that's a great way for our members to kind of partner with your chamber. So
we would love that. And I think you hit the nail on the head. I think they're, doctor, lawyer, Indian chief, I don't know. There's some key professions that people think about. And then there are others that I can speak from personal experience. Never in my wildest dreams did I think I was going to be doing marketing for a telecom. Nobody in high school goes, gosh, I want to work for the phone company. Not anymore anyway. So how many high schoolers are thinking, oh, I want to be in real estate? Maybe a few, but chances are it's only those whose parents or a relative or a close friend or somebody that they actually know about. But I think a lot of students aren't aware of the opportunities that career can present to them. And certainly I know, the flexibility and the idea that you can make your own the harder you work, the more money you can make. It really is one of those careers. So I really invite anyone who's attending this call today or through you, Melissa, to reach out if you've got an interest in helping us, because we would love to have you speak, mentor, whatever it is that's comfortable for you. And I think it can help promote both your organization, but the career as an option, in itself. And it's not going away. I think that's one of the things that you can say is it's got to be pretty secure, because people will always be buying and selling homes and commercial properties. That's just, it's going to be. Love to have you.
So yeah, so right. So if any of our members, that's a call out to you all. You can email me. I'm happy to also provide Ann's email if she's willing to do that for us. And you all, please feel free to get involved in this chamber and their foundation work. We would love that. So
Yes, we would.
so we've talked about a lot. What are some current projects that your chamber has going on that maybe you want to highlight that we haven't already discussed?
It's been, like everybody else. Sure, can I just use the words that we all hate? We're reinventing ourselves. We're pivoting. We're doing all these things because we can't do what we used to do. And so, and admittedly, we, struggled. One of our greatest assets has been bringing people together, building relationships among fellow business people in the area, whether or not they can do business with each other, but often they can just, become friends, build a relationship, and then eventually recommend each other, all that good stuff that helps build business. Well, when you can't ever come together, you're really stuck going, what are we going to do next? So we have spent a lot of time strategizing this summer on the kinds of things that we can do to continue to support our membership. And we've gotten really good at virtual events. We're Zoom experts, like I'm sure you all are too. We have another platform called Remo that we've discovered that brings people together and allows small group conversation as well as presentation. So we're doing a lot of our networking activity on a different application. But we're dipping our toe in the water this fall for sort of hybrid events that you can choose to join online, or you can come to the actual chamber and in a small group participate at the same time. So we're seeing if people are willing to do that, if they feel comfortable with those sorts of things. But we're still providing all the education that we possibly can to support our members, whether it is live and in person or via some webinar format. For instance, I'm sure many of you have heard about the PPP loan, the Paycheck Protection Program loan. Well, now it's time to think about the forgiveness. So we're doing a webinar next week with the Small Business Administration on all the rules around PPP and getting it forgiven. So we're trying to do really important educational things like that to help our members make sure that they know what's going on with that. But we're also helping on the marketing side. We've got 2 fantastic live stream webinars coming up in September with Google, teaching our members how to make sure their presence online is as good as it can possibly be. And yes, they are sort of Google commercials, but let's face it, Google, if you're not going to show up in the Google search engine, you're not going to survive anyway. So, but those are live streamed with an expert out of Atlanta that we're presenting. So we're still trying to find those educational opportunities. This morning we had our Women's Business Alliance, an event online using our Remo application, but giving them an opportunity to get together and come up with programming. We're doing a great Get Out the Vote campaign again this year, even though no one in our municipality is running for election this season. But we're partnering with an African American sorority. We're doing a postcard campaign to encourage people to vote. We're putting together a candidates forum. We're working with the Board of Elections to put together a webinar on everything you need to know to make sure that you're registered, and if you want to vote by mail or absentee, how to do that. So we're really across the board while we're still running our foundation and all the leadership programming and the student programming in parallel. So we have not slowed down. We've just shifted a little bit on how we're presenting everything. And we've got our fingers crossed. We're doing a golf tournament because it is the law that if you're a chamber, you have to do a golf tournament. It's not really, but it seems like it is. But we're doing our golf tournament the first week in October. And we also have a sporting clays tournament, which we started several years ago, where you shoot skeet, and it's really, really fun. So we've got 2 fundraisers coming up in the fall, which everyone is invited to participate. They're not limited to chamber members. And quite honestly, we need your money because these are fundraisers, and we're constantly looking for ways to fill the gap to keep our operations budget going as well. So, but actually, at the end of September, I'm participating in a 2-day online seminar with the National Chamber on what will chambers look like in the future. And so I'm really fascinated to hear from people all across the country on their vision for the future of chambers. We've been in existence since 1948. So we're 72 years old and certainly have evolved from a small group of volunteers that used to meet on the depot by the railroad track, um, to this vibrant, really active organization that we are today. But where are we going to be in 5 years? And what are the needs of our members and our community going to be that we can help fill? So we really are. It's kind of, on the one hand, it's hard, but on the other hand, it's really exciting to think what do we want to be, and using this trying time as a reason to say, what should we be in the future? So we're continuing to invent and reinvent.
Great. So this kind of ties into that question a little bit, but maybe bringing the focus more to our realtor members, association members. We did have a question come across in registrations that specifically asked if you were aware of any new housing coming to Wake Forest, but maybe more general, are there any projects going on in Wake Forest or that you can speak to that may be coming to Wake Forest that you feel our members should be aware of?
Well, Wake Forest is a go-go boom town continuing. Nothing has seemed to slow down at all this year. The only thing that's probably slowed anything down is just the ability to get the paperwork done through the town of Wake Forest. Residential housing continues to just grow, and from the realtors that I know, inventory is really, really low up here because there is so much interest in living in Wake Forest. For those of you who are not familiar, we have the charm of the historic core, both in downtown and surrounding what was formerly Wake Forest College, that's now Southeastern Baptist Seminary. So we have the whole historic district that provides this almost city center that people just love, the charm, the beauty of that. And then surrounding that, of course, are just, new communities and subdivisions that have not slowed down. Moving north to Franklinton and Lewisburg as well. Land is a little bit less expensive, and Rollsville, but it's still just, you just can't keep up with the growth. And I do understand that residential inventory is very difficult. So not just there isn't enough for the interest. Commercially, all around town, if you haven't been up here lately and to drive around, construction has not stopped. There are multi-use retail and office buildings in progress as we speak. There is the new Wegmans that's going in on Bypass 98, and it will be surrounded by a ton of new development, both residential and smaller commercial. So the Wegmans is due to open in June of 2021, which we're going to blink and that's going to happen. It's practically under roof right now, actually. So both on commercial and real and residential side, it doesn't seem like this strange year has affected anything. I think everybody projects that were underway are continuing, and there's just lots and lots of opportunity up here.
Great. So that kind of leads us into my final question that I have. We do have a couple that have come in from some members, but on my end, can you give us any insight into how the commercial real estate is in Wake Forest? So a lot of our members, as you know, are residential realtors, but we do have some that kind of cross lines and they are interested in commercial, or they buy and sell commercial properties. So you touched on it a little with Wegmans, but is there anything else that you can give us commercial wise for Wake Forest?
Well, and as I said, I see a lot of new commercial construction going on, but I don't have my finger on the pulse of, how much empty space there is commercially right now. And I'm sorry, I should have tried to find that out before this conversation. Because I really am wondering, with the whole work from home and how many people have been, working from home and now are like, why are we bringing you back? I do know that actually my old office at CenturyLink, and if you all are aware, just north of Wake Forest on Capitol Boulevard, Route 1. It was originally Carolina Telephone, then it was Sprint, and then it was CenturyLink. It's a huge campus with acres and acres and acres. And everybody who works there was told they had to leave by August 31st because that building is for sale. So that's an enormous piece of commercial property. And there are lots of openings around. I don't, and I am seeing a lot that's being built. So that is not a helpful answer. I just recognize that. I'm sorry.
I mean, with everything going on, we may not know the lasting effects of any of this for quite some time. So that's just kind of, it's some wait and see sort of thing. So
we're excited about in downtown Wake Forest. I don't know if you all are familiar with the project in downtown Raleigh called Loading Dock, but it's a co-working space that also has some like a food hall and a brewery and all kinds of amazing things. And that's coming to downtown Wake Forest next summer. So construction is underway there. And again, that's right in downtown. We have a new development right next door to the chamber office on White Street called Powerhouse Row that is commercial on the first floor and 2 stories of apartments on the upper floors, and that's brand new construction. So there's a lot going on in the historic core of downtown Wake Forest, as well as out on, Rogers Road in the Heritage area and towards Rollsville and that sort of thing. So I think that the main point I'd want to get across is nothing has stopped. Everything is just continuing to grow. So this is a great place to look for opportunities for both residential and commercial.
Great. So we did have one additional question come through during our registration process leading up to today's webinar. What is the chamber doing, or what do you all do to promote small businesses in your downtown corridor?
We support business throughout Wake Forest. So we live and work right in downtown on White Street, which is our main street in downtown. And we participate. I'm on the board of Wake Forest Downtown, which is an organization that's just strictly focusing on supporting all businesses in downtown. As a chamber, we do that, but we really are supported by our members that have offices and retail establishments and restaurants throughout the region. I mean, we're called the Wake Forest Area Chamber because we don't even stay in our own zip code. We welcome and want to support businesses in North Raleigh and Franklin County and across the area. So we participate wholeheartedly with anything that's going on downtown. I'm always right there volunteering. We're doing whatever that we can for specifically our downtown businesses. But at the same time, we don't want to exclude the rest of our membership, which supports us as well. So I wouldn't say we don't do an awful lot as a chamber that just focuses on downtown, but anything that's going on, we're right there supporting it.
Great, thank you for that. So for our members, if you have questions, I know I put this in the chat, but if you have a question that you'd like to ask Ann, please feel free to drop that in the Q&A box on the webinar, and I will be happy to ask that. So we did have one question come through. What are some things that COVID has forced your chamber to do that you think you will adopt permanently moving forward?
Oh, that's a great question. One of them is half of our staff now works from home permanently. That's a definite. We all had to get our heads around that, but we have not slowed down. And in fact, the staff members that either for whatever reason have chosen to stay home and working from home have been more productive, gotten more done, have been more cheerful, more happy. It's amazing how when you give people the freedom to do what feels right to them, how well they work. So that's something that we as a chamber have definitely done. Continuing online opportunities just for meetings is for sure. We have a 15-member board of directors. We meet once a month. And we've had great participation via Zoom. because they don't have to leave their office. Or if they're on vacation, they can just jump in for an hour. They don't have to drive from the mountains to come to some meeting. So I think creating those opportunities for people to participate either in person or via some sort of technology is going to 100% continue. I think we've all gotten used to it. We understand the technology. We're not afraid of it anymore. And it's just so convenient. Even if you're just across town, why get in your car and drive over to the chamber for a meeting that you can participate in just as easily, from your home office? We are going to be constantly asking our members how they want to act and react as we move out of this pandemic. So we will continue to offer things that work for them if it's virtual or online. And we're just going to have to see where that takes us. There are a lot of things that really just work just fine, and we'll continue to offer those. But certainly working from home and allowing flexibility and in both staff and volunteers, it just makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can all kind of agree with that. It's ironic because the individual that actually asked that question is my boss. He's the VP of our policy and engagement team at the association. So, we're doing the same thing, and we say that all the time. We feel like our team has been very productive working from home. I think at times we've been more productive and coming up with new creative opportunities to give to our members. So I definitely echo those sentiments that you shared with us.
Well, and what's interesting to me is, so we have a staff of 8, and for most days, 4 of us have come into the office and 4 are working remotely. And those of us who choose to come to the office, there's a reason. My husband works from home. I mean, our house is not big enough for both of us there all day, every day. I mean, I joke, but it really is true. He's got his routine going, and I like the social aspect of being able to come out and say, hey, what's going on? So I think we've gotten to a point where we're just allowing people, not allowing, I hate that word, but recognizing that people have different styles and different lifestyles and different needs, and whatever works. And if they're going to get the work done, they're going to get the work done no matter where it is.
Great. So we don't have any more questions. I wanted to open it up to you to see if there was anything that you wanted to add, or anything that you wanted to ask our membership or the association that maybe we didn't cover today.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you so much for having me. This has just been delightful. I would like to issue an invitation to everyone on this call. If you are not familiar with the town of Wake Forest, reach out to me. We can put masks on, we can walk around, I can show you all of the charm, everything that's going on up here, and I would absolutely love to do that. Nothing gives me more pleasure than bragging about our charming town. So please, if you want to take I've done this actually for a few real estate organizations when they had a new community and many of their realtors just weren't familiar with the town. And I would be so happy to put that together for you. So if you have any interest, if you are working in a new community, if you don't know, what to say to your clients or whatever, please reach out to me. We'd love to have you and host whatever you're comfortable with. So number one, I'd offer that invitation to you, because there's just nothing but goodness going on up here. And also, if there's anything that we as a chamber can do for you, please reach out. We have members that are large brokerages, and we have members that are single realtors. And you can join at any level and participate, get all of our communications, stay with your finger on the pulse of what's going on up here. I mean, literally, you could be an individual member at $40 a month, and you'll be in tune with everything that we're doing, but also an opportunity to meet and get to know and build relationships with people within the chamber and within the town, because we do provide so many opportunities for that. And I know if you're a listing agent, you need inventory, and one way to build your inventory is to know more people and broaden your network. So we will help with that, and we can help with that. And through our different organizations within the chamber, our Women's Business Alliance, our Young Professionals Group, all kinds of things, we really do provide opportunities for you to build your business. That's number one. Our mission is to help businesses grow and thrive no matter what it is. So I really invite you to join us at the chamber. And if that doesn't suit and you just want to come up for a visit, I'd love to have you, and we'll do everything that we can. We're excited to have I'm not going to say it right, RRAR, the Raleigh Regional Association of Realtors, as part of our membership, and I really look forward to getting to know many more of you on a one-on-one basis.
Yeah, so not necessarily a question, but definitely something that I will echo. As our CEO Andrew Sims put in a little comment in our Q&A. He's saying that he can certainly vouch for you and your team. You all do a wonderful job in Wake Forest. And again, I echo those sentiments. When we met a few months ago, you and Liz and myself, I threw out the idea of a brand new event, and you all jumped on it. And unfortunately, we were not able to get it going due to COVID, but I am determined that once this is all done, we will be doing it. So you all took my ideas and ran with it, and it was just very easy working with you and your staff. And we've enjoyed the partnership thus far, and certainly it will continue. So
thank you.
So again, thank you for joining us. It's always a pleasure to welcome you and the Wake Forest Chamber for any event, even if it is virtual. But I know that we'll continue to work together and partner in the future. And so we really enjoyed you being here this morning.
Thank you so much for having me, Melissa. Great to see you all. And I'm sincere. Reach out to me. Anything we can do, we will be happy to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. And if you have any questions for myself or for Ann moving forward, or you want to get more involved in the Wake Forest Chamber, please feel free to reach out to her. I'm happy to provide her information to anyone that wants it. Just ask. And so thank you all for being here this morning. We really appreciate it.
Bye.